I'd like to call the Hopkinton Town Council meeting of November 18th, 2013 to order with a moment of silent meditation and salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll move that we reconvene the council and seal the executive session minutes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, first on the agenda is the consent agenda. Approve the town council meeting minutes of October 21st, 2013. Set December 2nd, 2013 as a hearing date for renewal of holiday sales licenses. Set December 16th, 2013 as a hearing date for an application for a Class BV liquor license filed by Daniel Knoosh for property located at 14 Spring Street. Set January 6, 2014 as a hearing date for renewal of campground licenses. Set January 21st, 2014 as the second town council meeting in January due to Martin Luther King Jr. Day holiday. Set January 21st, 2014 as a hearing date for renewal of commercial haulers licenses. Accept the following report. Town clerk, approve abatement submitted by the tax assessor. Does anything have to be pulled? No?
So moved.
Okay. Okay.
So is a motion to approve the consent?
A motion to approve
Yep.
the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. First public forum, anyone out there wishing to be heard? Next on the agenda, moving right along, is our manager, Bill McGarry.
Thank you. On October 30th, I attended the town's EMA kickoff meeting. That was for the town's med system, that medical emergency distribution system, for the flu clinic that's scheduled for Saturday, November 23rd from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the Ashaway School. 16 volunteers attended the meeting, and they were provided with a meds presentation from EMA Director Ron McDonald and Chris McGrath from the Rhode Island Department of Health. The town receives grant funding for convening these types of meetings, and also affords us the opportunity to organize and train volunteers for use during emergencies, clinics, and other types of drills. And the Town Council President Frank Landolfi also attended this meeting. Same night, I attended the latter part of the school superintendent Barry Ritchie's presentation on the Chariho school and budget issues. November 13th, I attended the bid opening for the purchasing and installation of the DPW radio communication system. The bids are opened by the town clerk, and they're currently being reviewed by staff. And we anticipate making a presentation and a recommendation to the town council at its December 2nd meeting.
Okay, any questions for Bill on those three items? Okay, thanks, Bill. Okay, next under new business is to consider a resolution from Chariho School District. I'll just preface this resolution. When I was with breakfast with Barry, with other town council presidents, Tom Gens from Charlestown and B. Joe Reddish from Richmond, Barry had wanted the three towns to kind of get on board with a resolution of sorts to that involves school security. So we all kind of thought it was a pretty good idea. And he forwarded the resolution to us, and then now I'm forwarding to the council for their opinions. It seemed pretty generic. You know, there was some open-ended, obviously some open-ended issues there, and I guess I read it, and you know, probably not that closely, I guess, as it turns out. But under the fourth paragraph from the bottom, I only thought we should probably just take out and/or budget, and just leave it to reallocate budget and resources for improved school security. But I know there's folks out there that probably would have more detailed information on how we should craft this resolution going forward. So I'll start with Mr. Scott next to Sylvia. Do you have any comments on this resolution?
I just think I would leave that in. You know, I mean, it's always a question how much security you need, certainly. But I think that a lot of people should, who are staff and people in schools should know how to handle certain things, but as far as physical access to the property, I like to keep in, reallocate budget resources to handle budget. The school department, as we well know, has quite a surplus, and they also have the power, since their budget is literally tens of millions of dollars, to move things around. And I'm sure that that type of money, they can come up with the money to do anything they need. And also, like I said, it's not only money, it's also how people respond and how people react and things of that nature too. So I like the way it is. You know,
Yeah.
what it's worth.
To your point, I mean, the only reason why I wanted that taken out was I wanted them to use their budget currently and not add another line item for this particular security, and that's why I wanted it out. So that was the only thing I kind of saw. But, you know, obviously, there are plenty of things I'm sure that folks can amend on this, and I'm willing to listen to whatever the
But I
council.
think they have the power to move those line items all around. The only mechanical thing they might face, and I don't think they do, is that if they don't have a line item in for that purpose, I'm sure they have like security. And I don't know if they're paying anything for the resource officer, or anything that would be considered security or maintenance, whatever line item they would use that.
From what Barry said at our meeting was that there's, obviously, the schools like ours in Ashaway and Hope Valley, there's improvements that need to occur to make them more safe. So there's construction costs involved. So that's really what it stems from. It's not so much resource officers, it's really just getting the schools more secure, and how do we do that and how do we pay for it. So, anything else, Scott?
It just says, that line says, wants the Chariho Regional School District Committee to reallocate budgeted resources in a budget for improved school security. I mean, that's pretty simple.
Well, it is, but it's open-ended.
Okay, is there anything else?
Huh?
I have nothing else.
Okay. Sylvia?
Along the thinking, and I agree, because they have, basically what I wrote is that they shall not use capital funds, that they, you know, their capital budget. We don't want them to say, oh, well, we're not going to do the heating system, we're not going to do this or that to pay for it. So if they don't touch their capital budget and they don't touch accumulated surplus, what they can do is look to their general fund operating budget for the costs that they need, because that budget, that operating budget, always ends up with $1 million plus, $1 million more, year after year after year. So they have to just look at their, pull it out of their operating budget for the money. So this is what I wrote. It would be the following. See the last whereas? The last whereas, the Hopkinton Town Council understands that improving school security, and this is what I wrote, will result in less surplus from the 2012-2013 current budget. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hopkinton Town Council encourages the Chariho Regional School District Committee to improve school security. Be it further resolved that the Hopkinton Town Council wants the Chariho School District Committee to improve school security by, and this is what I wrote, the reallocation of funds from, and I wrote this down, Lisa, the reallocation of funds from the current 2012-2013 general fund operating budget, comma, since more than $1 million in surplus occurs every year, comma, provided no funds come from the adopted voter-approved capital budget or the accumulated surpluses. And then the next one, be it further resolved that the Hopkinton Town Council will request the town manager direct staff to blah, blah, blah. In other words, we don't ask, we're not going to direct law enforcement and direct people. We direct the manager, and then he deals with law enforcement and emergency preparedness. So we would want the manager, we would direct the manager to look into
To
this.
carry out those duties.
Right. The last one that I wanted to add in is the town council, and there would be another, be it further resolved, that the town council requests that prior to any construction to the town-owned Hope Valley or Ashaway School to improve security, that 3 sets of plans, and I don't know if I'm saying 3 sets of plans, but the bottom line is that the plans and the estimated cost be provided to the town manager. So before it, how much is it gonna cost, and what exactly are their plans? Because they're looking at some changes to the front foyer, which may be great, but if they could provide the plans first before they do it, give it to the town manager,
And an
and he could
estimate.
disperse it
And a rough
to
estimate.
zoning or whatever, yeah. I wrote that down, yeah. I'll hand it to you. So those were my changes. Do those sound reasonable?
Sounds reasonable to me. Yes, Bill?
Fiscal year, did you mean like
This current,
13, 14?
the current one that they're in,
13, 14.
that would be 12, 13, because it ends, oh, no, you're right, it's
13,
13, 14.
2013.
Thank you. 2013, 2014, yeah, you're right,
Right.
thank you, yeah.
Okay, well, you had a few things more changed.
Well, it was basically on
Yeah.
the same lines, it's just a lot more words.
Right.
I'm trying to cover every conceivable
Yeah, yeah,
thing,
yeah.
you know?
Okay, Barbara.
I like some of Sylvia's changes, but then others, I think, just make it too complex. The original whereas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, I would simply leave it. It's going to result in increased expenditures, which is just the truth. It just is what it is, and I don't see.
Well, that's true.
I know, I mean, I just leave it as is.
Okay.
When you go to the be it further resolved on the and/or issue between resources and budget, I would take out the and/or, because I also agree they should do it within their budget, because their budget has not only the surplus that Sylvia's talked about, but it also has within it the unspent, the surplus that they sit with, which they are certainly allowed to use for something like this. I think it would make perfectly good sense. So if we take out and/or, it would be to reallocate budgeted resources for improved school security. Their budgeted resources are what they have presently, not something that they're necessarily going to do later. I do like her suggestion on the next one down, that the Hopkinton town manager will direct town law enforcement rather than the council. That makes perfectly fine sense. And then the final one, what is the final one again? I don't think we need that one.
That was the one where we want to see the plans ahead of time, and we want to know what they're going to do to our buildings ahead of time. And we just
Yes,
want to know
okay.
an estimated cost.
I think it's good to know for our town buildings, because it needs to go through our zoning and our planning. So I thought that made perfectly fine sense. So the last one I thought was fine, but I would just keep the simplicity on the fifth whereas, just leave it as increased expenditures, that's what it's going to be. On
That's
the be it
okay.
further resolved, simply take out and/or budget, because they need to use their surplus, and they need to use their, the surplus they have for the present year, as well as the past surpluses, which they have plenty of. I really do appreciate the manager change, that was really important, thank you, Sylvia. And then the last, further resolved, I'm fine with.
Okay, sounds like we're making headway here. David?
They're not gonna know what the surplus is for the current year until
Correct.
way out, about this time next year.
Halfway through, they know, by December.
Or at least they're
They
close.
they have a good idea what the surplus is gonna be. because
I know by December.
You'll know.
I
that-
know. Now, how do you figure that?
how do you-
Surplus deficit reports. So if I know,
if-
then
if-
they know.
If they give it to us.
That's right,
Because
if
we
you
haven't-
get them.
Because we haven't gotten them.
Right, so they
In a long
still
time.
know. They know how much they've spent.
Yeah.
They know how much is hanging around.
Exactly. So I don't want any delay in this
Right.
situation because they're sitting around saying, well, we don't know what the surplus is, or words to that effect. So that's okay. I also think that the school committee may say, well, we haven't allocated any money for this. So I can see a little problem with that. We like to spend X, Y, Z, but we haven't even allocated for ABC. So I'm a little concerned that they're gonna kind of shy away from that whole idea. Otherwise, I think it's fine. I think it's wonderful. I'd like to know why Barry thinks that we have to have this. Why he's looking for a resolution.
Well, I think our conversation that day was just centered around increased security, with everything that's going on throughout the country.
Oh, I think it's good, yeah.
And I think, at least the way I look at it, I look at things kind of simply. It's just mainly, I think what he wanted to do in both schools was kind of put like a partition after the first set of doors, so that if somebody needed to hand in a book or homework from a sick parent,
Yeah.
a sick kid. You can go in, give it to them in the window, and then, they wouldn't be going in the
Like
rest of the
they
school.
like they have the middle school.
Yeah, it'd just be like a place to just drop
okay.
off things, but you wouldn't
Good
be-
idea.
have access to the rest of the school.
Right.
So, it looks like it's just mainly partitions in certain areas, although Hope Valley School is a little more complicated because the office is way
Do
back.
do they really need our blessing for that?
Well, I'm not sure what the motive was.
Yeah.
I think that they wanted us to at least acknowledge that there may be a security issue, and they want us all on board with it.
Oh, sure.
But, certainly the other piece of it is, what is it gonna cost and who's
It's
gonna
gonna be
pay for it?
expensive.
I can see where they want our blessing for say,
But, so I-
police coverage or ambulance coverage or
Yeah,
whatever.
I encourage, this to be edited, because,
Yeah.
with the way it came over, it just left too many things unsaid, so, but I think, it's just mainly just to kind of get things more secure, so.
Yeah, no, I think what Sylvia has to say and what you started with is
Yep,
fine.
yep.
Yeah.
I think my concern too is not so much that they're going to be reallocating resources to do construction issues. My concern is what they may also want to do is reallocate resources for personnel. And personnel are incredibly expensive, and they generally go through Richmond, not the Hopkinton or Charleston. I think that they may be wanting us to do this because it's going to be very costly, and they want everybody to say, but look, you said we should do it. So I'm a little concerned about that.
Well, that's why we modified it, I think if we try and close those gaps, I think.
Narrow
it's
the
better.
focus.
Yeah,
Or at least
exactly.
narrow it.
Yeah.
Close the gaps, and I think it makes us a safer resolution from the town's perspective, so.
But
Mr.
but one thing
Mr.
I'm not
President.
clear on, there was one thing I wasn't clear on
Yeah.
as to what everybody wanted. I want them to look, just as if something came up, where would we go for money? If something came up, we go to our operating budget and we say, well, we gotta find the money somewhere in our operating budget. And what I'd like to see them do is the same thing, not just go to the savings account and say, oh, let's just grab the money there. Go to their current operating budget, because there's always $1 million or more left over.
Oh, yeah.
The general fund budget, look in there and not say, oh, well, now we can't buy the books, or we can't buy whatever.
Right.
No, just look to there, because you always have $1 million left over. So I'd like to leave that and not say and/or the surplus. That was my,
Yeah,
I don't wanna
I
do
think they're
that.
looking for the towns to shoulder the responsibility, potentially, of cost for these upgrades to the schools for each respective town. That's what I got out of it, and it seems like this resolution from Barry kind of is tailored to that objective, so.
Frank,
But that's why they have a surplus.
I
That is
think you're
why
right, and I
the
think what
surplus
you have to
exists.
say, Sylvia, is correct. Excuse me for a minute. What you're saying is correct, that it should come out of current surpluses and all that, because I don't want this being used as an excuse for another line item that amounts to a lot of money in next year's budget. And they say, well,
Outside of their
you
budget,
all pass
outside
resol-
of the budget,
Right,
right.
that's right. You all pass resolutions, so that's what,
that's exactly what they'll do.
Mr. President, first of all, it is redundant and/or budget, so I can understand that, so I agree with that, even though, despite what I just previously said. The thing is, I commend Sylvia for her work, and I appreciated Councilor Capalvo's input on where, but the key to this is the Chariho School District gets tens of millions of dollars. And even if this is pricey, I'm sure they're can find that money if they really want to.
Oh.
And, as far as personnel goes, I don't know what other personnel they would need. They have a police officer there, if they have alarms and things like that, and type of security, I'm sure the schools will be well protected. But I think that we got to be very careful about letting the school district have it in. They can, the thing with Chariho is, another thing that we really have to stress to the people that are watching, is we have no control, the town council has no control over line items.
Right.
They can create a line item whether we like it or not, and that needs to be stressed. We don't even have control of the bottom line like towns in a single town school district. So this line item, we have no control over, period. We can scream to the cows come home, but we have no control over what line items they put in.
All right, thanks, Scott. So I think based on what we've talked about, it looks like just a couple modifications from Barbara. Are you okay with some of those? I think
Can we
there
just
was-
go through from point to point, because then we
Yeah.
can make a
Make sure
decision.
we're all
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the same page.
Right.
Because I started on the fifth one down. Did you have anything before that?
Oh, that's
No.
all.
Okay, at the fifth one, I just think
Yeah,
we can
just leave it alone,
Leave it at
that's
that,
fine.
okay.
Yep.
Now, the next one down is okay, it's the next,
Third,
be it
right.
further resolved.
Right.
And I would just say, take out and/or budget. It's to reallocate the budgeted resources for improved school security, rather than budgeting for improved school
So
security.
what my paragraph was, and it was, be it further resolved, and let's see, that the Chariho School Committee, we want the Chariho School Committee to improve school security by the reallocation of funds from the current 2013-2014 general fund operating budget, since more than $1 million in surplus occurs every year, provided no funds come from the adopted voter-approved capital budget or the accumulated surpluses. Is that
Why can't they
okay?
use accumulated surpluses? I mean, the whole
Because-
purpose is to use.
Well, that was, the point that I was making is they could easily just go to the savings account and
Sure.
create a new line item outside of their budget by using accumulated surplus, or they can look to their own budget, which has a surplus every single year, and look to their own budget and find the money.
Do you
But
think
we're-
that's
I
what
think
I'm
what we're
suggesting.
assuming- I'm not disagreeing.
So you
with
can agree or not, but
I'm
that's what I
yeah,
was going
I'm not
for.
disagreeing with you, but they don't know, or they're going to say they can't guarantee that they have a surplus.
Well,
every
we can
year.
also adopt it and send
We-
it to them and see what they say.
Yeah.
So how does everyone feel about that amendment?
The way I wrote it.
Right.
Fine, good.
I thought it was a little lengthy,
Mm-hmm.
like the last part of it about, you know, I think maybe could have been eliminated, but,
It's a resolution.
It's
so it needs
because
to
I know how
sound-
they are, that's
Oh,
why I
okay,
put so
all right.
much stuff in
Okay,
it, to
all
be
right.
very
okay,
specific.
all right. Well, that's fine, you know better, you more than I do about that, so
Good.
that's fine with me. Barbara, how you do?
I'd still like to keep it simpler, I understand,
No,
because I think reallocating budgeted resources means what they've already budgeted. for
right, but I
improved-
think Sylvia's getting a little more specific, you know. 'cause-
They'll go to capital budget, and they'll say, well, we're not gonna do X, Y, and Z, or they'll,
That is a
whatever,
possibility, that is true.
you know?
Okay, all right. Anything else on the last, be it
I
further
was
resolved?
gonna ask you the,
The next one down.
The next one down.
Sylvia had a major change, Hopkinton Town Council to Hopkinton Town Manager.
Right,
request
one
the
is-
town
Yep.
manager,
You know,
yeah,
I
that's fine.
absolutely think
to
that
direct
needs to go.
staff.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then the last one she had is the very end one, the further resolved. The
The-
very final one.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, the last two about we're gonna direct town officials to expedite, I don't think that's appropriate. We're not gonna hold up anything. I don't think we're gonna direct anybody to expedite the approval process. That was the second to the last, so I don't know
Yeah,
if you
I
wanna
think
leave
it's-
that. You're
Oh.
shaking your hand, yes?
Well,
Your head, I mean.
I'm just not sure what it means, and
It
you
makes me
certainly don't want
nervous.
to be put in a position where you're saying to your building official or to
Right,
anybody else.
do it, yeah.
I agree.
Right, you're gonna, you know, that's all.
It's gotta be done appropriately and honestly, and
So we should just take that
Swift as
line item
possible.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Take
And the
that
last
line
one-
out.
we don't direct town users of school facilities to follow school guidelines. The school committee does that, and we don't do any of that, so I didn't think it belonged to
I
us.
think what they mean by that is our citizens. Hopkinton Town Council will direct our own citizens to make sure they follow all
We're
school
just gonna-
security.
Whenever
That
they
whole-
use the facilities,
Yeah,
oh,
when
maybe
they
that's what it
visit, you
means.
know, I
Yeah.
think that's what,
Yeah.
but the last further to me was the one you wrote, Sylvia.
Oh,
That was the more important one, I think.
I'm not too sure that's even necessary, the school does that. If you've got a basketball league down there, if you're gonna have, if people are gonna go see a basketball game, for instance, the school says you can only do this, you can only come in this store, you can only do that and this.
But it's
I don't think
just-
it's our job
Yeah,
to,
but I think it's
tell
our being part of it.
I think Barbara was
Encouraging
right. Sometimes the
we're
town uses the
encouraging
building,
Parents and,
sometimes we
Okay.
do, so maybe that's why it's there.
yeah.
Okay,
I just
okay.
think it's innocuous. and
yeah,
that's the problem.
it's okay with me.
Oh, so the last one that I wrote was,
very
and
last one?
whereas the town council requests that prior to any construction to the town-owned Hope Valley School or Ashway School to improve security, that plans and the estimated cost be provided to the town manager
Perfect.
Yes,
Okay,
good,
yes.
yes.
prior to.
Prior to construction.
Yeah.
What is your feeling on the last two, be it further resolved? We're gonna keep them in?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna-
Except for change it to town
We're gonna get rid
manager.
of that one.
That- that
delete
We're
that
one.
gonna delete that whole next to the
Yeah.
last one.
And keep the last one, yeah, the town users,
And add Sylvia's,
and then there would be that added paragraph.
yeah.
you got it, Lisa?
That's good.
Okay. All right, so I think we're in agreement, right?
Yeah, because actually, we don't, although technically we own the school buildings in town, we don't set the policies
No.
for use.
So I'll
So-
make a motion that we give the Chariho Regional School District, the town of Hopkinton, the resolution concerning school, student safety and school security as amended, as written and amended during this meeting.
Second.
Okay, well, any further questions?
Do we want it to come back to check it, or we're okay, we're pretty clear on it? What
Well, I
needs
think it's
get
good to
sent
see the
out?
draft once it's written, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's no rush, right?
no.
I can rework it and then. put
Okay,
it in
so
this
we've-
week's awful
Yeah,
packet,
yeah.
And then you can say yea or nay.
That sounds
Okay,
good.
so we don't need a motion.
So we don't need a motion right now to approve it then?
I'll withdraw my second.
You want to draw that?
You don't want to
withdrawal?
make it subject to,
I would, if we do it as a motion, then we can approve it, we can just,
Subject to.
we can approve it and it can go out.
Oh, no.
Why don't you, yeah, if you're comfortable with it, vote on it, Lisa can
Yeah.
circulate the draft.
Yeah,
If
just
anybody's
put
got
that
a
in your
problem-
motion,
we can always
subject
amend it,
to.
right?
Well, if anybody's got a problem, it can always come back before you,
Well,
but if
depends.
everybody says fine,
Then
then
she
she
can
can just
send
send it out.
Okay.
Okay, put that in
Motion.
your motion, Barbara, and I'll second it.
Whatever I said, as amended, and I'm not sure what we're doing. And
Well, we're going with your original thought. You want to just redo the motion?
Yeah, you were fine, just do your motion,
Okay, my motion is that
you approve the resolution.
we approve the Town of Hopkinton, Rhode Island resolution that recognizes the need for student safety and school security as amended and rewritten at this meeting. It will be
With direction to the town clerk to circulate a
with
draft.
direction to the town clerk to circulate the draft.
Once written. Okay.
Once-
How's that?
Seconded.
Okay.
I included my second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further questions, folks? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, when anybody
Thanks, Pat.
does, Lisa circulates the draft to you guys.
Right?
And if everybody's fine with it, call her and say it's fine. If anybody's got an issue, then she puts it on the next agenda.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, folks. Second public forum. Anyone out there wishing to be heard? Chief? No? Okay. Motion made to adjourn, please.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to Hopkinton Town Council and adjourn in honor of E. Robert Corrigan Jr. in honor of his service to the town of Hopkinton.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.